Yo, what is up, guys? MMA Jack here, and welcome back. We are breaking down the UFC 305 main card today. And before we get into the breakdown, I just wanted to thank you guys. We hit 20 subscribers, and our last video did pretty well. We got around 350 views, so thanks again for all the support. Shout out to everyone in the comments as well. We got a bunch of comments last time, mostly positive. We had our first hater on the channel. Of course, he was a Dagestani Glazer, but it's okay, giving us more views and comments for the algorithm. So I'm really excited about this fight card, especially after the card last weekend. I mean, it was just absolute dog shit. And just a little news for you guys, if you didn't know, the Apex is actually closing soon for construction, which is the best thing I've heard in months regarding UFC. So yeah, we got a card here down under Perth, Australia. Let's break down the main card for you guys. So opening up this stack main card, we got Li Jingliang, the return. He's finally back. I think it's been like a year and a half, and for a while we didn't know what he was out with, but they believe it's an injury. I think it was his back or something, which is a little concerning for him, but we'll get into that. And he's fighting Carlos, the Newport Ninja Prates, who's an absolute monster. I love this guy, and he rips Newports, so dude's just a G. He's on an 11-fight win streak right now, 9 of them being finishes, so super entertaining. He's a dynamic striker. He's tall, lengthy for the division, and I really do think he's going to be a problem here for Li Jingliang. The reason I say that is because Li's getting older, and as I mentioned before, he's coming off a long layoff, really bad back injury. They're saying he broke his back, which is obviously terrible, and he's never been the greatest at anything. I mean, Li Jingliang has always been middle of the pack. He's not bad anywhere, but he's not necessarily good anywhere. Extremely good. So I see this as a perfect setup fight for Prates because he's entertaining. Yeah, I think he actually has a lot of star power. He speaks like a decent amount of English. He's funny with, smoking cigarettes and shit. And he's an insanely good fighter. So I think this is the perfect prop-up fight. Li Jingliang has a name. And Carlos Prates, if he can get the finish here, which I think he will, can ride off that momentum and maybe enter the top 15 or top 10 here soon, and maybe we see him in a fight with the likes of a Kevin Holland or Vicente Luque or maybe even a Neil Magny. I think that'd be a perfect next move for him if he does get this win. I'm not going to count Lee totally out, but I'm pretty confident here. So give me Carlos Prates, and I'm actually going to say by KO or TKO. Submission is possible, but I would lean on the side of knockout. I think he's going to come out very aggressively and make a statement here, and hopefully we'll see him floating around or in the top 15 after Saturday night. So for our second fight here on the main card, we got two big boys coming to knock each other out. Really excited for this one. We got Ty Bam Bam Tuivasa and Jairzinho Biggie Boy Rosenstruck. Great matchup. Good job to the UFC matchmakers for making this one. Tuivasa's a little bit down bad right now. I think he's on a 4-5 fight losing streak, but he has been facing the pinnacle of the division. So it's kind of hard to tell because Rosenstruck's been looking good recently. He's also been knocked out by most of the top guys, so it's a very even matchup here, in my opinion. I see a lot of people have been leaning with Jairzinho, and I get it. He's an elite kickboxer. On paper, I think he should win this fight, but something in me is telling me that Bam Bam's going to get a knockout here and we're going to see a shoey. I think with the combination of the home field advantage, and he's just been on such a losing streak, and it's not like he gets dominated in these fights. Like, he's always in it to some capacity. I mean, I guess against Pavlovich he got destroyed, but I don't know. I got a feeling Bam Bam is going to get a knockout win here. If I had to kind of make a play-by-play prediction for the fight, I would predict that Jairzinho would come out and kind of be dominating, maybe rounds 1 or 2. Not dominating, just outstriking. Let's put it that way, because he's technically better than Tuivasa is, and I could see the crowd kind of dying down like, oh, shit, Tuivasa's going to lose again. And then, I could see maybe a quick slip and, uppercut or hook, a big shot from Tuivasa, puts him out cold, kind of like Ngannou. Maybe, when he blitzed Jairzinho and just put him out. And the crowd goes crazy. Tuivasa's back. Shui, the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to go with that. That's my official prediction for this fight. Let's get into the featured fight. So we got Dan Hooker and Mat Gamr throwing down here. Clash of styles. We got a striker versus a grappler, heavy grappler, in Mateusz Gamrot. I'm Gamrot all day here. I think Dan is going to try to make it an entertaining fight. He's put on bangers in the past. I mean, him versus Poirier, him versus Jalen Turner. Dan can make a really fun fight if he's not fighting a grappler like in this situation. Gamrot's just your grade A crotch sniffer. I don't think he's been in an entertaining fight. I mean, the Sarukian fight was great because they had incredibly high-level scrambles, crazy grappling. So that was entertaining in that aspect, but I think it's going to be Mateusz all day here, unfortunately. My official play-by-play prediction for this fight would be Hooker comes out. They dance around for a minute. Hooker maybe gets off a few shots, maybe a couple leg kicks. Mateusz grabs the leg, sweeps him, and we are on the ground for the foreseeable future. I wouldn't be surprised if Gamrot got a submission off here. Hopefully Dan's anti-grappling defense has been improved because there's always the chance that Hooker keeps it on the feet, and I think if it stays on the feet, I think Hooker got him all day. But unfortunately, the reality is Gamrot is probably going to crotch sniff him to a decision or a potential submission. I would go decision, but that's your choice. The one thing that kind of confused me about this matchup is Gamrot's fighting way down in the rankings. Dan Hooker is ranked number 11, and Gamrot's ranked number 5. I guess it kind of makes sense because most of the top 5 is booked right now, but I wish we could have seen Oliveira versus Gamrot instead of Dan. No offense to Dan. Great guy, entertaining fighter. But I think it would make more sense for the division if we had like Oliveira versus Gamrot in this feature fight slot, but it's okay. Let's just hope it's an entertaining fight, and then we can move on to the co-main, which is a guaranteed banger, in my opinion. We got Steve Erceg versus Kai KaraFrance, 2 stand-up guys, both fighting in the same territories. So I assume the crowd will be more pro Erceg because he's from Australia, but Kai KaraFrance isn't far off in New Zealand. This is another fight that doesn't make too much sense to me for the sake of the division, but whatever, it's going to be an entertaining fight. Because if Kai KaraFrance wins this, is he really going to get a title shot off of it? I don't think it's likely that he wins this. I'm going to go with Erceg here. I think he's just the more put together, cleaner striker. I think he's a better grappler. Kai KaraFrance definitely has cardio. I actually don't know if he has the cardio advantage because we just saw Erceg go a hard 5 with Pantoja. And arguably, Pantoja won the fight in my opinion, but Erceg was hanging in there. He was very close. He definitely won a couple rounds. So the question here is, will Erceg get the finish or not? Which I don't think he will, but I think we're going to see a war play out on the feet here. I wouldn't be surprised if Kai KaraFrance tries to grapple. I don't think that's going to go well. Steve Erceg has pretty good takedown defense and anti-grappling. I think the odds reflect pretty well what we're going to see here play out. I'm not going to count out Kai KaraFrance because he's always a live underdog. But Erceg is he's a lot cleaner of a striker. I think he actually hits harder than Kai does. And Kai's got like 1,000 losses. It's pretty clear cut to me here who's going to win this. Like I said earlier, I would go decision. I don't think he's going to get the finish here. They're very small guys, and especially with the new gloves, there's barely been any finishes by knockout. But I think we are going to see a barn burner here, and I'm excited for this one. I think it's a good co-main event. Let's hope Erceg wins, and maybe we could see him back in the title picture, because I would love to see a rematch with him and Pantoja. That was a great fight. Didn't really expect it to be, honestly, but it was. And Erceg's just a great dude. Genuine guy. He's funny. He's quiet, and he's a crowd favorite. So let's go on to the main event here. Really excited for this one, guys. This fight's been brewing for probably over a year at this point. It was supposed to happen at 293 when Strickland ended up stepping in and beating Izzy, which was crazy. But yeah, here we are, Battle of Africa. Well, Battle of China versus Africa too. Regardless, I've been going back and forth on this fight. I was thinking a couple days ago, I was like, shit, I don't know who I'm going to pick because my heart is telling me Izzy because, let's be real, he's one of the greatest middleweights of all time, And contender Izzy especially is a different animal. I mean, every time he's fought when he didn't have the belt, besides the Jan Blachowicz fight, because that doesn't, I mean, for my argument's sake, it doesn't really count. I'm talking about middleweight. He was going up and he was severely undersized for light heavyweight. But for my example, any fight that he was in, with Gastelum for the interim belt, any fight before that, Silva, when he came back and knocked out Alex, which is crazy. I think y'all are forgetting, too, that Izzy knocked him out when Alex is bigger than him. And you guys have seen what Alex is doing in the UFC. I mean, he's unstoppable. And Izzy just put him out in their last fight. So, I think especially, too, with grudge matches, Israel does well. But we got to look at the side of Dricus here. He's not very sloppy. He seems to be very sloppy, but he's technical at the same time. It's an anomaly. I've never seen anyone fight like Dricus does. But one thing that I am worried for Adesanya is Dricus's grappling, because he's a strong dude for middleweight. Like, he's just one of those guys that'll just be able to grab you and just bring you down. And that's one of Izzy's weaknesses. His striking is on point. I think he kind of had an off night with Strickland. Not taking anything away from Strickland. He had an amazing performance, but you could tell Izzy wasn't really on his game. And I think here he's going to come in as the best version of himself. I think he really wants the belt back. And, I mean, the beef with Dricus, he hates Dricus, if you guys couldn't tell. Like, I don't really even think Dricus is bothered by Izzy all that much. But Izzy's got this, like, burning hatred against him. So I think he's going to be firing on all cylinders. I will say, though, there's a reason that these odds are so close. And it's kind of crazy to me, because if you told me that if Izzy and Dricus were fighting 2 years ago, maybe, I would be like, dude, Izzy's got to be at least like a minus 1,000 favorite. But Dricus has really stepped it up. Like, I doubt him every time, and he wins. I didn't think he'd beat Whitaker. I actually didn't even think he'd beat Brunson, because I saw him gas out so much in his first couple fights. And I damn for sure didn't think he was going to beat Strickland, but he did. That being said, I still think I'm going to lean with Izzy to get this one done. I think I got to put trust in the veteran here. I think Izzy's going to come out firing on all cylinders, like I said. And although Dricus is very dangerous, and I will not be surprised at all if he does win this fight, I think Izzy is going to make a statement here, come back, middleweight champ again. And honestly, what I see playing out here is a really good fight, and I think we're going to get a rematch out of this, regardless whoever wins this one, especially with the beef. I think it's going to be a very even fight, and I think whoever wins this fight is going to end it in a spectacular fashion. I see a knockout here. I would bet this fight to not go the distance, or I would take Izzy and Dricus at a knockout, because I'm sure they're both going to be plus numbers. But I'm really excited for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys enjoy the card this weekend. Again, if you guys want and you enjoy the content, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. I reply to all comments. I'm down to banter with you guys there, and it's a great way to support my channel if you enjoy the content and want to see more like this in the future. So that being said, enjoy fight week, a couple beers with your friends, enjoy the fights, and we will see you for the next card.